Okay, we'll start the Capital Outlay Committee of the Whole, May 21st. I guess since we have so many empty chairs, go ahead and call roll, please.
Mr. Richards?
Present.
Mr. Toler?
Here.
Ms. Abrams?
Here.
Mr. Westmoreland? Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Bush?
Here.
Mr. Moore? Ms. Simmons?
Here.
Mr. Meeks?
Present. Okay, our first item on our agenda today, and I think that Mr. Corvetto is going to be handling instead of Mr. Snoddelbach. Consider approval to seek quotes to enclose one of, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still on the third one. Consider low quote for a roof coating on Hammond High Magnet Fieldhouse.
Good evening. The first item I'd like you to consider for capital outlay tonight is item 1A. Consider the low quote from Certified Roofing for the roof coating on Hammond High Magnet School's field house and locker room buildings in the amount of $72,123.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Toler, second by Ms. Simmons. Any discussion or questions?
This is where they're going in and putting the stuff, replacing the screws and putting the coating?
This is a complete roof coating. It does, if need be, and there needs to be fasteners changed out. They are changed out, so we're not going to cover up deplorable items or whatever. So, but it's not 100% change out of screws. But there will be fasteners changed out that need to be changed out, and this is this comes with a 10-year warranty. It has a 1-year all-encompassing warranty with the contractor, and then the 10-year warranty is through the manufacturer. But the 10-year warranty that comes with it is for labor and materials from the company itself, the Uniflex company. This is a proprietary product. It is called Uniflex. It's through Sherwin-Williams. We've used it extensively throughout the system, and so I've used this product with good success in the last 3.5 years. And I try to have a prioritized list for summers to do this kind of project. And these two schools right here are the next in priority to go ahead and tend to the metal roofs. We've already done extensive work at Hammond High with this because we covered the entire gymnasium and the choir, band rooms, and auditorium with this product. And this enables us to get more longevity out the roof and not have metal changeouts. A lot of companies like to come in and do metal changeouts, which are very expensive. Rather than do those metal changeouts, we can get more longevity out of our roof using this kind of system coating. And the contractors that work in this have to be certified to use the Uniflex system. And then there's a inspection by the Uniflex individuals to make sure everything is done properly throughout the process, and then at the end. So they check the project pre and post to make sure everything's done accordingly in order to provide that warranty for this coating. So it's a roof coating process, but it is several mils thick, and we get more longevity out of our metal roofs, and it's more beneficial financially as well versus doing a metal change-out. It's sprayed on, yes it is.
How old is the prior roof?
The prior roof for that building, we're probably talking about, with 2019, probably in the range of about 25 years old, something like that.
Any other questions? Any objection? So ordered on that one. You move to the next one, please.
Yes. Item 1B, consider the low quote from Certified Roofing for roof coating on Greenville Park Leadership Academy's classroom building in the amount of $102,000.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Ms. Simmons. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Toler. Any questions or any other comments? Would this be different than the other one you just explained?
This one is on the classrooms consisting of the Gold Hall and the Silver Hall. And so I'm trying to take care of the academic areas at that school. And again, this will give us more longevity. It's definitely needed. And I was able to prioritize this portion of the school and take care of some hot spot items that I've had as far as leaking. And then next summer, I'd like to go ahead and complete the roof at Greenville Park Leadership Academy. But this is the foundation of doing the classroom buildings in the Gold Hall and the Silver Hall at Greenville Park Leadership Academy. And this will give us a good foundation to go ahead and complete the job. And another step come next summer when we do these roofing projects, using money out of the roofing fund that exists, and that is specifically for this need.
That was the question, is this is coming out of our roofing fund?
Yes, this all comes out of the roofing fund, and these are monies that are existing specifically for roofs. Therefore, this is money set aside that we need to use in a prudent manner, and we're doing it as we prioritize our summers and tending to these roofs a little bit at a time on these larger projects.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? Any objection? So ordered. All right, our next one, consider approval to seek quotes to enclose in one of the Hammond East Side Elementary outside corridors. Go ahead, Mr. Kevin.
Okay, consider approval, this is item 1C. It says, consider approval to seek quotes to enclose one of Hammond Eastside Elementary's magnet schools porte-cocheres to create an additional classroom. This area is currently an open area where there was some picnic tables and such. We have 2 of them. That is the southeast and the northeast corner. We're working with the southeast corner, and on the southeast corner, we can successfully go in and try and tend to Mr. Kyle's needs for that school with the population of that school. And so this is for us, an approval for us to go out and seek quotes to put a classroom on that end to tend to the needs at that school that the principal does have existing right now. And you can see the figures up there to go ahead and do this and tend to that need, and that is an estimated figure. This figure also includes some canopy work and some sidewalk work as well to make sure we meet ADA wheelchair-type access as well.
Okay,
Question.
let me go ahead and get a motion in a second. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Simmons,
Second.
second by Mr. Duncan. Okay, Mr. Duncan?
Mr. Crevetta, is there any reason why we're just doing 1 versus 2 or even 4? I know we have 4 corners that are essentially the same there, and we certainly have room or need for 4 classrooms.
Yeah, there's a lot of need there, we know, for space. This is kind of an incremental project, so we haven't gone at it en masse, if you want to say, taking care of all 4 corners. This is basically just to take care of a need and sustain the school for where it is at this time, but we didn't go any further with it.
And is there any chance that there would be any savings from kind of like an economy of scales type thing, instead of paying a general contractor to go out there 1 classroom at a time, to instead get them to do all of them?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, on this situation and dealing with the constraints that we deal with, it seemed better to go ahead and take a small nibble at this and make some progress rather than trying to go en masse to do a larger project at this time, dealing with funding and dealing with the constraints that we work in on a daily basis.
So this would be another one of those examples of, we only have the money to do 1 classroom, so we may have to pay a little extra to do them 1 at a time instead of
Pretty much,
more efficiently multiple at a time. Is that?
pretty much.
Okay.
And I also think, I mean, this falls under the court approval, but I believe we still had to have court approval on this too, right, Ms. Stilley?
Well, if it's under,
I know, but I think because we're adding to the dimensions of the campus, I think,
I think Brett did mention about making sure
I
that.
think it still had to go, yeah,
approval, we have to send it on.
yeah, I think it still has to go.
But it does fall below the figure that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Any other questions on this?
So right now, we're just going out for bids, though.
This is just approval to go out for quotes.
For quotes.
We have design and everything, as you see, and we have an estimated price, is to go out for quotes and see where we come in. Also, this project is, in one way, it's time sensitive, but it's not as quite of a time sensitive project. So if it was started midsummer, we can still do this work since it's a small project as school begins, and it will not inhibit the progress of the start of school. But it will enhance it once it's done, and it's something that we need to work towards to get, so we can make a good faith effort to try and tend to some of Mr. Kyle's needs at that school for space and capacity.
You said this is the southeast
This is
corner?
the southeast corner, which is by the modular 6 classrooms that we put in.
Right.
That's right across the front of the building.
In the front of the building, yes, sir.
Okay.
Facing Highway 190.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we do these referring back to what Brent was asking, will we be able to adapt this plan to the other?
This plan is adaptable.
It is
It
adaptable?
is adaptable. The only the big difference is the building has a capacity for electricity, and that's one of our dire needs at all our schools. So, you know, in order to tend to all those other rooms, if we were to do that, we'd have to come up with another electrical plan for electrical feed coming into the school, because most of our schools are maxed out on electrical feed, especially with all the technology, because the buildings were not built for everything that we have in them now, and so we're maxing out the need, we're maxing out what we have capacity-wise. This building we can work within range with this, but if we were to do more, like you were talking about, Mr. Duncan, then we also have to go in and deal with an electrical infrastructure and bring in more feed lines as well. It's something that's inevitable, that's going to have to happen at a lot of our schools, but we're going to have to bring in more electrical feed lines other than the ones that are existing, because the capacity of those existing lines will be maxed out. So in order to do capital improvements, one of the big things we need to think about in the future as a foundation for our system is to take care of our electrical feed lines that are coming in and be prepared with those so that we can do these kind of capacity projects. And so that's a whole nother component of it. And then we have to, of course, add air conditioning and such, but we have to have electricity, because electricity is the most fundamental thing, other than the slab and the roof, that we have to deal with to make these things happen.
The electrical capacity is sufficient for this addition?
Right now, it's sufficient for this. It's been passed through an electrical engineer. We went through that process with Chris Bankston Architects, and that's why, having Chris Bankston Architects and also the electrical engineer, which is Tim Vercake, and these kind of individuals that we deal with, they can estimate our capacities and things that we have to make sure we're within code and compliance, and then what we have to do for the future, which also, that's a very important component of all this.
Any other questions? So, Mr. Bankston, I'm assuming from your record, and I know your record, this addition will probably look like it's been there all along when you get through.
Yeah, we didn't build with the bricks and matching. We took the same sash windows that were out there, so you drive by, it's not gonna stick out.
You won't really notice, huh? I think this is a great idea to capitalize on the one existing wall and the roof and the ground, and just add 3 walls to make a I mean, I think it's a great idea. It's definitely worth it. So thank y'all so much. This is wonderful. Any other? Okay, then, no objections, I'm assuming? And this will be a great project. So did we have a time frame about?
Well, we know if, we have quotes, we come back to you with a low quote and such. We have capital outlay, and then we have a time frame to get to board. So this project right here, Chris, if I'm looking at it, this project's going to if it winds up on the time frame we're looking at, we're going to be in the summertime going into the school year. But this project is a small project, very beneficial, but it's a small project. It's not going to inhibit progress of school starting.
How long about will it take once they actually start?
Just maybe a couple months. I mean, it's not, like Kevin said, it's not that big of a project.
Mm-hmm.
Really building the exterior portion of it. We have to go inside and pull some of that brick off the inside, which I think it looked like a classroom.
Mm-hmm. So really, it could be a possibility that midterm, we could actually start utilizing it like we did the time we put the portables in, we moved over midterm? That's good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else come to us today, capital outlay?
I think that's everything on capital outlay, unless you have any
All
other
right.
questions.
Thank you so much.